www.mystérieuxétonnants.com. Benoît Mercier à la caméra pour vous. Cette année encore, l'équipe des Mystérieux Étonnants vous présente la couverture du Comiccon de Montréal, des entrevues, des vox pop, plein de bons contenus. L'équipe complète est là. Simon, Francis, il y en a quelque part ici dans le coin. On va les trouver. Ça commence maintenant.
C'est Simon Chénier pour les Mystérieux étonnants. Au Comiccon 2012, j'étais avec Frank, Francis, Ouellette.
Salut, salut.
Cette année, moi, je vais faire des vox pop avec du monde. Je vais poser des questions. Puis toi, Francis?
3 affaires, poser des questions aux madames. Il y en a partout des madames cette année. Trouver l'absolu meilleur comique dans les étalages en ce moment, poser des questions concessionnaires. Puis on va interviewer aussi les petits poupons. Parce qu'il y a des petits Batman, des petits Robin partout.
Puis on va voir des cosplays. Je n'ai vu un de Xavier Dolan puis de Pierre Légaré à date, fait que ça va bien.
Bon, on est avec 2 cosplayers, là, obviously. Et c'est comme la 4e ou 5e Robin et au moins la 8e Batwoman, Batgirl que je vois aujourd'hui. Est-ce que, lorsque vous voyez une autre cosplayer qui a le même costume que vous, est-ce que vous vous haïssez la face tout de suite?
Non, pas vraiment. On les a pas encore rencontrés. Non, c'est ça. Donc, pour l'instant, on n'a pas vraiment le goût de s'entretuer.
Mais Batman et Robin, c'est partout, là. Je veux dire, vous êtes des fans à la base? Vous êtes des maniaques de Batman et Robin ou c'est juste le sexiness du costume?
Non, moi, disons, j'aime beaucoup. C'est une dans le fond, des bandes dessinées que j'adore particulièrement, c'est bien Batman.
C'est nouveau, votre trip de cosplay? Vous faites ça depuis longtemps ou c'est la première année?
Première année? Première année.
Ben c'est ça, c'est parti, là. On est en business, là. Tout va bien. J'ai l'honneur d'être ici avec M. Jim Starlin, un des très prolifiques créateurs de Marvel des années 70 et 80, qui a donné une toute nouvelle saveur aux histoires cosmiques et à la mythologie spatiale que Marvel a eu depuis ces années, a conservé depuis ces années. So, Mr. Starlin, I was actually saying that apart from the late great King Jack Kirby, when it comes to creating a cosmic storyline on a huge scale with Shakespearean undertones and a lot of drama and power and ideas, you pretty much were the big kahuna when it comes to that. One of the most striking comic book reading experience I had because of you. So I would like to know what it was in the 80s to be the demigod of the cosmic universe of Marvel, because you really created some of the most powerful mythology of Marvel Comics.
Well, let me say first off, I was thoroughly infected by Jack Kirby myself. Jack and Steve Ditko were my gods when I was growing up. What was it like to be the chief go-to for cosmic stories? It was kind of nice. I have a spotted work history, so sometimes it didn't always work out well, but the majority of times, especially along the lines when we were doing the Silver Surfer, Thanos Quest, and Infinity Gauntlet, that worked out fairly well with me up at Marvel. It was a time when I was doing a lot of experimentation. I was also writing novels at that point with who is now my ex-wife, Dinah Grajunas. So we were doing a lot of experimenting, and it was kind of an interesting time all around.
When it comes to the cosmic characters, there's a serious religious background to these storylines. There's not only some mythological aspect, but some powerful spiritual aspect. Do you think personally that comic books can have that appeal to give a spiritual message to the people when they read it, even if it's an undertone? Do you think it's actually possible?
I don't think I was trying to give a spiritual message at the time. I have spiritualism in me because when I was back in grade school, my family thought it'd be a great idea if they sent me to the local Catholic school. And so I was raised, taught my formative years by some of the craziest nuns you'd ever want to see. In fact, my 6th grade nun, who was my teacher, she actually got committed before the end of the year.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, she was a John Bircher, and so I had this mix of like rebellion against the church that I was immersed in at that point. So if you look at my stuff, it's a reflection of that. In the Warlock series, the Universal Church of Truth is universal is just another way of saying Catholic. You know, I've always had questioning religion, but realizing that the spirituality part of life is essential, and I don't think those two things actually always go hand in hand.
The saga you created is almost 20 years in development, if I'm not mistaken. It was almost from Captain Marvel to the very last stories you made. It's more than 20 years. It's actually an ongoing saga, the saga of Thanos, from Thanos' quest to Infinity.
I think you check on it is closer to 45 years.
If we start with the death of Captain Marvel's and the first appearance of Thanos, it's 45 years.
It's somewhere in that area, yeah.
I bow to you. I bow to you, seriously. I didn't know it was 45 years. I read your stories for 20 years, and it seemed that it's inexorable that the Marvel movie are going towards taking your character and going directly in that direction. When you finish watching of course there's going to be a spoiler here, when you finish watching Avengers, it is evident that it's going to be about Infinity Gauntlet. To me, it is evident, to all of us, with Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm not sure, but you know.
Do you have a say in that? Are you a consultant?
There's a division between, I think, the movies and the comics. At the time the Avengers came out, I had no working relationship with Marvel. Since that time, Marvel and I have started talking, and management and I have come to an agreement on things. And editorial and I are trying to feel ourselves out right now, and we're talking about me writing some more Thanos stories. Here's your scoop for the thing. It's not settled yet, but we're heading that way.
That just made me really, really, really happy. But you actually have seen what is pretty much your character on screen. You're going to see more of it.
In the Guardians and Avengers, apparently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Will it be a pleasure? Will it be a pleasure to see what you created, what you developed for all these 45 years on screen for a whole new generation?
It'll be much more a pleasure than when the first movie came out. I had to pay for my own ticket to go see it. But like I said, we've got a working relationship that's working well right at the moment. So, you know, I just have to see what happens over the next couple of years. I'm not sure if there's any, you know, I can't imagine Josh Whedon needing my help on the Avengers 2 or anything like that. It's just, you know, maybe I can get myself a cameo like Stan, you know.
It wouldn't be surprising to me that Josh Whedon, because he is a gentleman and he respects the creator, that he would go to you, actually.
I'd like to have him kill me on screen. But, you know, I'll take anything.
Mr. Starlin, it was a pleasure talking with you, and we can't wait for another Thanos stories from you.
Avengers ou X-Men?
Avengers.
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 X-Men.
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 Avengers.
Definitely X-Men.
Avengers. X-Men, all the way.
Retour à le futur 2 ou 3?
Le 3.
I think 3. ZZ Top was in 3. I like that one.
J'aime les westerns. 3, même si le 2 est meilleur.
Really, there's only one. Out of the two, I'll say 2.
2.
2.
Definitely number 2.
Je vais y aller avec le 2. Le 1.
Non.
Le 3.
Le cowboy, là.
Oui.
3.
4.
There's a 4.
This is the 4th.
Mesdames et messieurs, je suis en compagnie de M. Kevin Sorbo, un homme qui a bercé littéralement mon enfance à la télévision, entre autres dans la télésérie Hercules, Andromeda et plusieurs films au cinéma et direct sur DVD. First of all, thank you for this interview, Mr. Sorbo.
My pleasure. It's nice to be here.
Do you know, you're familiar with an actor named Brent Spiner? He did data on Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
He was here this weekend for the Comic-Con. 2 years ago, I asked him a question. As an actor, being so closely associated to a character, mainly you were Hercules and Dylan Hunt in the Andromeda series, was it a curse or something good that was for your career?
I think it's good. I mean, Hercules was, you know, a 7-year run. I mean, my God, we passed Baywatch as the most watched show in the world. To be part of something like that, I think most actors would be pretty happy about it. On the last season of Hercules, along came Andromeda, and yeah, I mean, they're both action guys, but they're different characters, you know, and they're about 7,000 years apart in history as well. And if anything, you know, I mean, the last 6, 7 years, I've shot about 50 movies. You know, I've played everything from a pastor to a serial killer. So to me, it's generated more work. It's been, I don't mind people yell out, "Hey, Hercules" on the street. It's not at all. It doesn't bother me in the least.
And you did the voice for a video game. It was God of War 3.
I did.
What can you talk a bit about your experience?
Well, you know, they just called me up. I'm certainly aware of the first God of Wars. They were very successful, hugely successful, and they came to me and said that we got this character. It's Hercules, but he's quite different than yours. I mean, the people who played the game, they know he's about 15 feet tall, and you know, I mean, it was interesting. It's actually opened the door for me doing more voiceovers. I just did a couple more characters for these new games out there called Skylanders, for people who are aware of those. And they'll be out here, coming out in October, November.
Would you be open to do a character cartoon like you know, Patrick Stewart doing some voice on the Family Guy and American Dad? Would you open to do?
I would love to do that. I've had one of my good buddies, Patrick Warburton, is on Family Guy. He plays Joe the cop in the wheelchair, and he's been doing voiceovers forever. And I would love to. So if anybody's got they want me for a voiceover, I'm available.
What did you think about your character interpretation by Ryan Gosling as young Hercules? Did you watch it?
Well, yeah, and we had 2 spin-off series. Xena was in our 3rd year, and Young Hercules, Ryan Gosling, was in our 5th year. And when that show got canceled after just 1 year, Ryan was just distraught, and I took him out to dinner. At the time, he was maybe 20 years old or something. I said, "Ryan, you're a good actor. You'll do fine." And now look at that little bastard. He's up for every Academy Award. I said, "Dude, throw me a bone. You started on my show, for crying out loud."
You're part of a legacy. You know, the character of Hercules has been around so many times. Steve Reeves played it. So what does it feel like to be part of this mythology?
You know, it's interesting. You mentioned Steve Reeves, and I got a letter from him back in 1995. And a picture, because I grew up watching his reruns with my older brothers, Hercules Unchained and all that, and he sent me this beautiful letter saying that your portrayal of Hercules is so heartwarming and funny. I'm very honored to be part of the legacy along with you. He sent me a great letter. I've got it in my office. I wanted to get him on the show before he passed away, but the producers didn't get him on there, which I thought was a silly move. But pretty cool. You know, I mean, I remember when the series first came out, I was back home in Santa Monica, and I was working out at Gold's Gym, and Lou Ferrigno walks up to me and stares down at me and goes, "Your Hercules is okay, but mine was better," and he walked away. So,
and you don't want to argue with...
No, Lou's become a very good friend through the years. We do a lot of charity, the same charity work together.
You talk very briefly about the next movie. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, I've got, you know, people go to kevinsorbo.net. I've shot 4 movies already this year. I just did a comedy with Matthew Perry called The Whole Banana. I just finished a Christmas movie, which will be out on cable, so hopefully it makes it up here as well, on the Hallmark Channel, and it's called A Christmas Angel with Della Reese, who was on The Touched by an Angel with Roma Downey, and Terry Polo, who was the wife of Ben Stiller in the Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers movies. Very touching movie. I'm starting an action movie next month down in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, with Ving Rhames. So it's a big action movie. Then I start another sort of a inspirational faith-based movie called God Isn't Dead, where I play a professor of philosophy at university, and I'm an atheist. So it's a very interesting character for me to play, being a Christian, and so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
And I was talking with the guys before we did the interview, and we want you to be in the Expendable 3.
Oh, man.
Would you be willing to do that?
Listen. I talked to Avi Lerner about that, who produced the first one, and he said, "We're going to get you in the second one for sure," but I think Stallone took me out of it. So probably because I'm taller than he is, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, to me it's silly not to put me in there. I mean, Hercules and Andromeda are still airing in 100 countries around the world. And it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, I'll put people in the seats. I do have fans, thank God, thank you fans. And it's weird not to put me in that type of a movie. I can't figure it out.
We wish you to be in the 3rd one, so thank you a lot.
Nous sommes ici avec Jean de la boîte à BD de Laval, qui va être notre premier interviewé en ce qui concerne la passion du single issue. On ne se lance pas dans la business de la vente de comic book sans avoir eu un appel, un calling de la plus haute distinction. Et moi, je veux savoir, ça a été quoi le comic, Jean? Le comic, la série, que tu as tenu dans tes mains, tu fais « This is what I'm gonna do ». Je vais vendre du comic et je vais passer ma passion à des hordes de fans assoiffés de sang. Et ça, c'est quoi qui t'a donné la passion du comic book?
Bien, je te dirais, quand j'étais jeune,
J'avais peut-être 12-13 ans. Mon cousin qui était rendu plus vieux, lui, il avait fini son trip de BD. Fait qu'il m'a légué toute sa pile de comic book héritage en français. Puis dedans, le 3/4 des comic books, c'était des Jack Kirby. Fait que le numéro 67 en français, Captain America, là, c'est capoté. Là. Ça m'a fait... Kirby m'a eu, là.
Décris-nous rapidement, il y a une 67 du numéro héritage, ce qu'on voit sur la page couverture.
Bon, tu vois la face de Captain America, de même de côté, il est caché dans les feuillages, tu vois des soldats de loin, puis c'est en bas, le caption, je pense, c'est le retour du salaud. Là. Parce qu'il est dans un pays avec un dictateur, puis il est pogné là, puis ils sont tous après.
Le retour du salaud. Damn!